Welcome to Shooting the Shift with Marilyn and Elizabeth. These light warriors, both native New Yorkers, walk their walk, talk their talk, and keep the real in the deal. This dynamic duo joined forces to assist you through your transformational journey one step at a time, empowering you with spiritual tools you can use in your daily life. Each show begins as a conversation creating an opening for spiritual connection. There are never any scripts, and Spirit is always illuminating the way. And that's when the shift hits the fan. The magical messages of the ancestors, spirit guides, and Gaia are respected, honored, and always given sacred space to communicate. Join Marilyn and Elizabeth as they shake shift up and do what they do best, speak from their hearts.
Welcome back, everyone, to Shooting the Shift with Marilyn Maldonado, that's me, and Elizabeth Lindsay. Today we're going to be discussing the woo brews and the hard truths about self-care. So we have a lot to discuss today, so we don't want to really go into too much. So how have you been, Elizabeth?
I'm good. I'm on the phone, so if I sound a little fuzzy or a little far in radio land, I had my internet go down like just, literally a couple of minutes before we sign in. And for those of you out there that don't know, Marilyn and I usually meet on Zoom earlier, and we mute ourselves, but we can see each other. So I feel a little blind today, Marilyn, because I can't see your beautiful face, and but I know you're there, so that's all that matters, right?
We can trust that we can really pick up on each other's energies via the frequencies. Yeah, there you go.
I'm more worried about cutting you off and knowing you're like ready to wrap something up so I can go in and not cut you off,
We'll get through. We'll get to that when we get to that. It's all good.
Yeah.
Right?
So what does woo brew mean? I think that's like a big, giant thing we made up. So I think we need to tell the radio people, what does that mean?
Yeah, right? And so kind of you came up with that, right?
I kind of came up with that. I think it's funny because I think there's some new age people that are very hippy dippy and rainbowy and unicorns and rainbows, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not who I am. I've got a lot of Capricorn. I'm a native New Yorker. I'm just like real cut and dry. This is the way things are, right? So, sometimes I call the new age stuff, the spiritual stuff, woo woo, and so I thought it'd be cute to call it woo brew, like a brew, something you're stewing and brewing up. But really, what are we talking about today? Today, it's not about bubble baths, rituals, face masks, and makeovers. It's self-care, and it's also about, loving ourselves through everything that can expose some of those rough, ugly patches. Sometimes we need to look at the ugly and the bad to get to the beauty of our own evolutions, and it's a process. But be it tinctures, potions, lotions, or Florida water, that's what Marilyn uses, we've got you covered. And, I just think it's really important that July is the perfect month for spiritual and physical space exfoliation. And it's not about decluttering your environment. It's about nurturing, pampering, and treating yourself like the rare treasure that you are. And sometimes we need rituals for that. And sometimes we need to know, it's been a while since I broke open that sage stick and, saged my house. Or told the bad little Velcro gremlins, out, out, out. And I think sometimes having rituals help. And I do think what we're really talking about is our own empowerment, our own self-care, and alchemy, what works for us.
So, because self-care, right? That's a big word. And so I think that you hit it right on the on the button, right? Because I'm thinking about, as you're saying this, and I'm saying, you know why? Because many of us, right, have collected many tools And I call tools, whatever we've learned along the way that has helped us to shift in our energies and in how we are feeling. But sometimes what has happened over time is we forget that we have them, and so then we don't use them, and so then we get stuck in the muck. And so we want to really try to talk about the ability to always understand that we have this amazing, beautifully made tool belt, that we have placed a lot of beautiful tools within, and that at any point in time in our lives, we can just reach in, pull it out, and let's work around it, right? Like I know I use like Florida water, Ruta, which in English is Rue, right? And Epsom salt baths, and sometimes I put essential oils in it, right? I do the dancing it out, the singing it out, right? To just to assist the shifting process naturally, because I also use like crystals, right? Like let's think about so many different crystals that we can use, because this morning I was saying, wow, what are my go-to, right? What are the go-to crystals that I use? And I know shungite, because shungite is like that's for protection, for healing, for detoxification.
Ooh,
right?
my friend Martha gave me a beautiful giant piece of shungite that I wore all throughout the UK. And shungite's really good for emotion and protection. And yeah, shungite's really powerful. I do notice a lot when I wear that shungite. It helps me.
Yeah.
So, one thing I did want to touch on, because I do think it's really important, is, tomorrow is the new moon in Leo. And you'll hear a lot of things out there on social media about the Lionsgate and 8/8 portal. Lionsgate's already happening, but basically, essentially, the Leo new moon, it's a really good new moon. It's a new moon that is showing you how to trust your own self-expression. And the spirit of this moon is outgoing, creative, and confident. It's also a good time to rekindle ideas about something new you want to pursue or project that you wish to start, a project you want to start. So the thing is, though, with every new moon, there's a ritual that you can, I think what you made me feel like when you were kind of rambling all those things off really quickly is proactive power shift. Because what do you do with your tools? You power them up, your power tools. And you be proactive about how you are using your alchemy, and distilling your creativity and your power into your own medicine. And what works for you. Not everything that works for everyone else works for you, right?
Exactly.
So, like you said, you have your own little spiritual tool belt. And I think it's important, too, to remember that not all tools work all the time or forever. And sometimes we need to upgrade or shift and change things so that we are being proactive about that. So for new moon, like a wonderful project to do is to sit down in the next 48 hours. You can do it right prior to the new moon. You can do it right after. Within the week is fine if you're listening to this in our archive. But the closer you are to the new moon, the stronger the energies are. And really, if you can just write down the things you'd like to bring into your life, how you feel having them, not how you feel wanting them. There's a very big difference. Wanting brings more lack and not having, and feeling like you're having brings more of the fulfillment that you want to feel. So you can be broad about it. You can be pie in the sky about it. You can have pipe dreams about it. There is no limit. The sky is not the limit. So you can be focused on one topic, or you can focus on several things. But it's really important with Leo. Leo is about being brave and taking a leap, and the heart energy, that big, brave, beating heart. Leos have that big mane, and it's really in the heart center, too. So being in the feelings of what you will feel having what you really want to co-create. And I'm not talking about stuff, Marilyn, you can focus on stuff if you want to, but that's really not where the heart is. The heart is how you feel in the resonancy. So it's not
the
about
emotional. It's the emotional part, right? It's the emotional part. And it's interesting because I feel that I go like this and I say, wow, I've done a lot of work in my life, right? And I'm still doing it. But the thing is that what I'm noticing is that during this time period, I want to say maybe within last week and the beginning of this week, it has felt like there's so much stuff rising to the surface. And it's almost like it's opening up and it's showing me the things that still need to be shifted and to be seen and to be looked at from a different perspective. So, and I was thinking about how, we're always talking about, not absorbing, but observing, and how important that is, a lesson for us to practice. And so during this time, it feels like, wow, how powerful, right, for us to be able to do that and to be tuned into the ability to recognize when we're absorbing something, right? Because we're feeling something so within our system that it kind of triggers some other story, and then there's a reaction to that. And so we can then identify those things that are still activated within our system. So I feel like, wow, that is like really a powerful place. And I'm glad that we've been talking about it, in prior shows about the strength in that, because there's a lot of strength in us learning to be the observers and not the absorbers, because this is what we do. The majority of the time, we're on autopilot on taking it in, like collecting. And so we need to remember that we are not collectors. And so we don't need to do that kind of stuff, right? Because otherwise it weighs us down. And then we have more to kind of like try to lift up and open, right?
Absolutely.
What do you think?
And I agree, because we are heading into, well, first of all, Leo is the literal sun sign. It is the bright golden sun. The sun is power. So bringing in an element of fun and play into this time, and really working with the sun, going and looking at the sun, being expansive, because all of August we've decided our main theme is going to be proactive power. And it's great that we're ending on our spiritual power tool belt, because I would say also looking at where have you not expressed enough of yourself or your creativity or your truth. When is the last time you truly had fun and engaged in play? And that's why I called it the woo brew, because it's meant to go, what? The woo brew? It's meant to be a little silly. It's meant to be, because some of these things may seem really basic, but I think it's important that we go over some of the tools that, as a reminder to people that are listening, what we personally do and what is effective. And these can be little things that you do throughout your day. But the key is being proactive and knowing that you are stopping. Like for me, I'm so climb the hill. I have so much Capricorn. I'm like the goat on the sheer cliff, I can hang in here. I can keep going. But, goats, when they get on solid ground, they're very spastic. They do jumps and kicks. And, I don't know if you've ever been around pygmy baby goats, but they're very playful and they're very funny. And there's something about this is a very strong square we're going through with the Pluto return, that we're not saying everything's wonderful. That's why we need these tool belts. That's why we need to keep raising our vibe. So there's something very powerful about this new moon and implementing a little bit of fun, making this fun for yourself, being proactive, and how can you raise your vibes? What is something you can do to boost yourself, even if it's just for 30 seconds after you eat your lunch, I personally, sometimes I need a pep talk. So I go on and I do like a 5-minute guided meditation where somebody's just so high vibe. I can just listen to them, escape from myself. And after that 5 minutes, no, I'm ready to go for a little while.
Yeah, I do like music, right? Because I love music, and I really think that music.
The best playlist. Oh my god!
And I think that music, music actually helps to shift you in ways that maybe other things are a little slower to shift you. I feel like depending on the playlist that you decide to create, you can tap into that energy, and it's such an uplifting energy depending on what it is, right? Something that's going to help you to tune inward, right? To be able to feel that which is calling you. And so you have a beautiful playlist for that, so you can tune into that. But then there's the other ones where it's so much fun. Like I like to have my fun ones where I'm swirling and I'm playing and I'm dancing and I'm singing and I'm just all at it, right? Because I think that that's so important. So, those are things that I think about and I go, yeah, those are things that I never really looked at as something to help me shift, but knowing that it does, right? When I've defined it, when I was able to define it, I was able to say, oh yeah, that's another tool that I use. I just never defined it. I never defined it as a tool. I just defined it as my playtime, my free time, my, time to be able to be expressing myself freely in my sacred space. Yeah. So I know we're going to be tuning into a break. So we'll come back to this topic, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's
and talk about specific things. Because I know I need the reminder of my woo brew, what works.
Yeah, I think it's it's an amazing time right now that that we're all under right now, really, and moving through. And so, I'm just thinking this would be something that we want to continue to dive into.
Especially if we can make it more about play and make it playful, especially during this time. Things are so serious and so mucky and sticky and heavy, and that's the energy. That's the truth. We're not going to make it rainbows and unicorns, but we can get so much shifting going when we embrace that inner child and the fun bits of it, especially with this new. So when we come back from our break, we're going to talk about specific things that we can do. And if anybody would like to call in, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to do mini readings and energy shifting. 202-570-7057. And we'll be right back after this short break with tips and tricks.
There you go.
There you go.
Bringing a more conscious lifestyle to your world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week, she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Welcome back to Shooting the Shift. As usual, Marilyn and I never run out of things to say. Yeah, listen, I've got to say, last week, you sent me a Spotify playlist that was so beautiful. You sent me two, but the first one you sent me was so beautiful and so nurturing, so loving, and I have been putting my headphones on, and I've been painting, which I'm about to share some of what I've been doing. But it's been so cathartic and healing and just amazing. And the music, I mean, seriously, Marilyn, you have a gift for playlists. And I'm so grateful and so joyful that I have that to put on and listen to while I've been painting. And I was sharing with you, I would have never picked most of those songs for myself. And they just all resonated. And they really did boost me up tremendously.
Yeah, so, and it's a playlist. It's cool. Yeah, and it's a playlist that I use to, to shift things and to, to just, heal those parts that, are actually, looming, right? And just saying, here I am. The second one is basic. The second playlist was basically so that you can select from all of those and create your own playlist. Yes, that's what that one is for.
But that one was very uplifting too. And I know you have one of them on there that I told you about. Nothing gonna stop me now. No. I've got to keep on moving because, so sometimes I go to like Patti LaBelle, 1980, and I'm like, oh, yes, it's, whatever's going to give me that, because look, you can put on Bolero, and you can just cry your little heart out when you're feeling bad. If you want to spiral down, you can do it real easy.
Yeah. But music, exactly. And this is how I always used music, and I can think back as a child that's what I would do, like even in my adolescent years, that's what I would do. I would select certain music to allow myself to move energy, which I didn't know at the time that's what I was doing, right? But if it created this energy of wanting to cry it out, or if it was more about yelling it out, it was more me singing it out, right? Or shaking it out. So it was shake it out, move it out, just allow it to just move, because that's what we want. Movement. We want movement.
And sometimes I learned this from Sonia Coquette, who I really admire. She's a spiritual teacher, and she lives in France now, so I envy her, and I watch her sometimes at her Saturday market in France, but she's so amazing. And I went to an I Can Do It years ago in Denver, and she put on the music, and then she's like, okay, now do the chicken dance, and now weird twitch, and do a movement you've never done before that you would never do in front of other people. And it was so good because you get to be like that 5-year-old spazzy kid where you don't care. Free spirit. And you just you embrace your little inner nerd and your klutz, and you just have a ball. And
you're calling your spirit back.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
So that's one thing that was very empowering. And every once in a while, I'll be dancing, and I'll right kick my ankle in a really non-attractive way, Yeah. But I'm like, oh, I never done that before, just to shake stuff up. So that's one good thing. Another thing which I always forget, and people always do, and it does work, so I don't know what my problem is. It's probably more of me going, I don't know, rainbows and unicorns. But sage, it works.
What?
sage, when you light
Sage.
a sage stick
Oh,
or
yes.
Palo Santo, and you set an intention and you go to the corners and you go out, out, only good. You set an intention and you I use my hands with the smoke and I send it out my front door. I always feel better after that. And that's always one of my last go-tos. I don't know what that is. I must have
and
a
you can
blockage.
feel it. Yeah, and you can feel it. Like you can feel the difference in the energy in the space that you cleared. I mean, it's like day and night. It's so interesting because I remember that. That's what I used. And it still is my go-to as well. But I'll sage to just to move energy. If I feel that, I'm hearing a little bit of a little. How do you say, like a little? Where maybe there's not as much harmony as there was, then I go to the sage, and I'm telling you, I kid you not, it's like there's like this beautiful energy, because we can go out and we can pick up all kinds of stuff, because that's the that's the automatic, until you get out of that automatic process. That's an automatic thing that we do, and so sometimes we collect and we bring it home. And we don't want to keep it here because then it affects everyone.
I don't care who you are. You got a little bit of flypaper that those Velcro gremlins could stick to. It's just inevitable. So you gotta go, wait a minute, I got time to knock them all off.
Yeah, when you start to feel, right? And that's why it's so important to be mindful, to be aware of how you're feeling, how the environment that you're in feels around you, so that you can create the shift that's necessary in the moment. Usually what happens is that we do not do that simply because, we're not aware of it, because we're not paying attention. And we may recognize later on that, wow, I was not feeling so good, when so-and-so said something, or when so-and-so was doing something, and I didn't think about shifting that energy in that moment, so that I did not absorb it, because that's what we did. We absorbed it, and now we're walking around with it. And so that's so important to if we can just be mindful in our lives, I think that a lot of times things could just shift instantaneously, like in the moment, right?
It's true. I got so wrapped up in, I mean, I'm not kidding you. This may be more than people care for me to share, but okay, here we go. The real in the deal. I mean, I just had werewolf toes and I had crocodile soles from my trip in England. I walked so much, I got a big blister, which is fine. I have a callus now, but I've been putting it off. And this morning, I kid you not, I got up really early. I put a mask on my face. I soaked my feet. I cut those toenails. I showered and I scrubbed, and I feel like a new person. And
it's self-care.
I just took care of myself.
Yes.
I know. So even I get lost in that trap where I don't have time, or I'll put it off, and it gets to the point where like I cannot look at those toenails another second. Oh my God,
Oh, yeah.
But sometimes we get in that, and you know what? I put on your music, and I had a good time, and now I feel great. So it made me happy, and making yourself happy is part of being playful and being conscious of that. We are allowed to have, like when we were little kids, we had break time, we had recess. We went and we did things. We don't do that in our adult life. Nobody goes, okay, time for your 5-minute uplifting meditation.
Okay, I gotta confess this, because I do give myself those moments. There are those times when I go like this, and I'll say, even to my husband, I'll say, okay, so I am about to leave this space, because I just want to just have some downtime for me. And I'm feeling like that's something that I need right now. And a lot of times I don't tell him. I just move away. Like in the beginning, I would do that because just to let him know, or you know. But he understands. He knows. Oh, there she goes. She's missing now, so she's doing her thing. So I close the door. Yeah, I close my door in my healing space, and I just sit and I give myself my downtime. I give myself the time to inspire myself, my time to check in, my time to, reevaluate, the decisions that I'm making.
Marilyn, I do that in the morning, but at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm not so conscious that I go, I need to have a boost. I'm getting better at it. Is that what you're doing? Are you proactively doing that?
I am proactively doing it, but awesome. What I have to say is that this is a practice that I have been doing way before COVID, okay? Way before COVID. Yeah. Way before COVID. And I want to say maybe it was 2017, somewhere around there. Where I began to be so proactive in this, where I just said, no, this is because, I started to think about this is about me, and it's really not about everybody else. This is just about me. This is me accepting that there are areas within me that need to be healed, that need to be heard, right? There's a voice, right? That needs to, like there's a story, and I might know the story, but I might not have really heard the story through through the centers that are holding the story in this moment, which is different than maybe the experience of that story in the moment, right? That it happened. So these are so important times where I say yes, because the more I heal, the more I work on myself, the more peace I can have within me. And what is it that we're all striving for is peace. So if there's peace within me, then I can, just vibrate that peace outward. And so that's my goal. Whether I'll ever achieve it, I don't know, but I'm still going to practice, and I'm going to continue to practice, right?
That's good.
I think it's
learning how to start doing that now.
Yeah, but I think we can all do it, because if I was able to do it, I know that everybody can do it. It's just a matter of making it so that it's important that you are number one, that you matter, that you're worthy, that you are worthy of the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, all of this is so important for us it's more like in training ourselves to understand that that we need to honor ourselves, to love ourselves, right? To treasure ourselves, to just be one with ourselves. This is so important.
Play with ourselves. I mean, singing in the shower, I don't care how bad, louder and off key. A, I'm adorable. B, I'm so beautiful. C, I'm the cutest one around. You know what I mean? Like,
I love that.
I know, right? Because my mother used to do that when she woke me up when I came home from school. She would come to the hallway because I was in a loft, and I would look down and she'd be singing that song. And, how could you not laugh at somebody doing that and feel good, because somebody's so in their own being happy.
Yes, and you can feel the joy. Yeah, you can feel the joy, right?
I don't have a lot of kids in my life, but I know, like, my friend Sarah, when I used to hang out with her, she had a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old. And that was such a totally different dynamic. When you're around a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old and you're an adult, you are pulled into their world. And it's contagious. So why not just embrace your own spazzy younger self that used to play and like mud pies and have imaginary friends? And, I just think wherever you can find the wonder and wander in the wonder a little bit right now, things are so serious. We need that. I miss good comedies, you know.
And we need that. We
laugh.
Yeah, we need to heart belly laughs, right? Because there are those times.
Oh,
yeah, when yeah. And I'll do that too. Like I'll look for something that makes me laugh so hard, you know, because I know that it's so good for me to be able to shift and it's not that I'm not feeling good. It's just that I want to feel even better, right? So I want to create a higher momentum of feeling good. You know, that because for me is important.
Momentum. It's like you're loading the caboose on the train, and the train is going to get the power, and then it's going to chugga, and then it's going to go choo-choo. I mean, it's like everything else. It's a build, and, you know, it's so easy to get mired in mucky, sticky stuff. And I think if we can just recognize it, I mean, it happens to me all the time. And if I can just go, okay, no, you're not going to get me, suckers.
Yeah, and even if it does, and the thing is that when we start, and this is the thing, when we start, and even when we've been doing it for years and years and years, right? We can still have those moments because remember, they're still live within us, and so first we have to deactivate them. So if we haven't deactivated that frequency within us, that's that kind of pulls us, or kind of that almost like rings that bell that says, here goes the trigger, and there I go, right? So and there I go. And so it's about recognizing, oh man, that just triggered me. And in whatever moment it is that you catch it, the fact that you caught it should be celebrated. And you should say, yes, look at me, just before I took this all the way, right? I caught it. And even if you take it all the way, but you realize at the end that, whoa, okay, maybe I needed, to shift that a little bit. Just the fact that you caught it, even at the end, you can say, wow, I caught that, and I'm going to celebrate that moment because it matters, because maybe 2 weeks ago, I would have not even noticed that, that I did that, or that I reacted that way, or that was a trigger for me, right? Because those triggers are going to help us to go inward and help us to understand why it is that we respond the way that we do.
Yeah, so Miss Marilyn, I know we have to go to a break, but our final break of our show. But I want to come back and I want to talk about walking the labyrinth in Norwich. It's a beautiful abbey. Ooh, and I want to talk about putting yourself in new adventures, in new places, even in your own neighborhood, places you haven't been before, where you just have a different perspective. Yes. So when we come back, I really want to talk about creating little tiny patches of
your conscious connection to a more mindful world. OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
Imagine yourself being transported to India, to the banks of the Ganga and an ashram in Rishikesh. Visualize that you are welcome to satsang with an American sannyasi who shares the wisdom of her guru. Your visualization has manifested. Join Sattvi Bhagawati Saraswati for inspiration and transformation every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
If I could be you,
and you could be me, for just 1 hour,
if you could find a way
to get inside
each other's mind,
walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out. And for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
I hear. Welcome back to Shooting the Shift. I'm on my phone today, not on my headset through our usual system, so I think I got cut off there at the break, but what we were talking about was transplanting yourself into different realities with new eyes. And so let me just backtrack a little bit with what I'm talking about. Like when I was in, yes?
That came up. Yeah, okay. That came up.
Well, when I was in the UK, I was in Norwich, and they have the Norwich Cathedral, and it's absolutely the most stunning cathedral. It's many, many centuries old, and different parts of it are different ages. But outside, they have a beautiful labyrinth. And I walked that labyrinth, and I had so much fun with the crows. You know, when you were a kid and you ran in the sprinkler, it changed everything really quickly. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, I can see myself someday, Marilyn, I'm going to come visit you. You're the one that's going to bring me back to New York, because I ain't coming back for much. But I want to come back and be in your labyrinth and do like a drum circle and the magic that you do and the fun that you do. But there's so many things in our own neck of the woods that we've never been to that we can go and just see with new eyes. It just is about perspective, right?
Yes.
And that's what I was trying to talk to in a very unarticulated way on the way to the break, which I got cut off. So I just think it's really important. The one thing I didn't get to mention, but I'd love to mention before our show ends, is getting your feet in the grass. That's it. I mean, that's it. You can listen to the birds. You can talk to imaginary people. You can talk to real people. You can talk to fairies. But I think it's really important to reconnect with the earth, especially in the summer when things are, especially in this part of the world, it's more warm. And, you know, I like to go out there really early when the sun is rising and just listen to the birds and just reconnect. It makes my soul happy.
Yeah, it's important, soul, right? Because
on my feet and my soul in my feet. Sorry.
Yeah, because it makes a lot of sense, right? Because we want to, you know, the majority of the times we're just on automatic pilot, moving, doing, and we forget to be. We forget to reconnect with the self. And when we do, you know, put our feet on the earth, we are actually grounding ourselves, and we can do such powerful work even by just doing that and allowing the energies to flow, you know, from above through us all the way down to our feet, allowing the clearing and the cleansing that we may be needing, and that's in that moment. And so when you said that, I said, yeah, because the grounding, we need to do that. So many of us, even there are people who say, oh, but you know, I don't live in a, I don't live in a space where there's like a lot of grass, or there's patches. And even if there aren't, this is my spin on it. Wherever you are, you will always have your connection to the earth. So if you are on concrete, underneath there's earth underneath there. You know what I mean? Because we're not floating. We're not floating. So we're gonna have the connection to the earth. The intention that you set is more powerful than anything else. Your intention is what.
Sorry.
Yeah. No,
that's
go ahead.
Your personal alchemy. That's your personal alchemy. What works for you? Where do you find the patches? Literally, patches for the soles of your feet, patches for your soul. You know, it is being proactive in your power with your power tool.
Yeah, and you can use, I mean, look, we can go back to understanding that we can do crystals, that we can do all different kinds of,
What do you
we
do
can
with
use.
your crystals, Marilyn? I want.
Well, I was also thinking of soda light, right? Because soda light encourages rational thought, right? It helps with that objectivity. It
I
helps
love
with
amethyst.
yeah, and it helps with
Amethyst
truth.
is good for me.
Yeah, and truth and intuition, it helps with that. And also with, feelings, being able to verbalize, being able to speak. So that's soda light that helps you to kind of bring a balance into the emotional, into your emotional centers. So soda light, I like to use it because, it even helps to calm panic attacks. So those are things that sometimes we're not looking at. Like sometimes it depends. I like crystals and I like, a lot of different things. I mean, I just use so many different. I use bells. I use drums.
Bells are great.
Yeah.
Frequency.
And
By the way,
and
I didn't hear the bell today.
Oh, because I did it before.
Ring the bell.
Right? Because bells, what they do is they actually shift the energy, right? In the space. So that's important. That's an important thing. A lot of times, there are times when I'm working on people and I might ring the bell or I might play the drum, or it just depends on what I'm called to do. Even, the rattle, I'll use... Yeah, I'll use my rattle.
Rattle.
Yeah, or tuning forks, whatever it is that I'm asked. Yep, whatever I'm asked to bring in. So it's like there's so many different ways for us to learn how to shift different, our energy, depending on the type of energy that we're working with. I think that's important, right? We need to also define the energy that we're working with, so then we know, what can we use to shift that energy, right? But always remembering that intention. If you set the intention, and let's say you say, oh, well, nobody told me that this crystal or that this, this sage or whatever it is that I picked up it works for, the energy that I'm holding right now. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you set the intention to use whatever it is. I use my breath as well. I use my breath to move energy, especially if the energy feels stagnant. If I'm working on somebody and the energy just is almost like this energy of such high resistance, I use my breath. And my breath actually moves. This helps. It's almost like it creates that platform. It creates a platform, a different platform for the energy to be able to disentangle itself and to move freely in the body. Yeah. And I think it's amazing, the things that we're able to do.
That's one thing I do consciously, and I need to do it more, is after I do a reading for someone, and I sent them their recording and I've done everything, I breathe in through my feet all the way up to my crown. I breathe out through my crown 5 times. And then I do it the other way, through my crown down to the earth, And it just really changes my energy. It's like a filtration system. Yeah. It just brings it out and brings it back in. It clears things.
But just think about and think about the power, right, that you have just discovered, and how it really helps you to shift the energy in such a way where it is instantly. And so that's another power tool that we want to place, because on our tool belt, right? Because it's so important for us to recognize what works for us. We can do certain things and we might not feel a difference. So we might say, wow, somebody told me that this works, but I'm not feeling it. Right? Well, it might be also that there's high resistance. So the other thing is, see if you are resisting that. If there's a part of you that says, because there can be a part of you that says, hold on, this is silly. This is not going to work, right?
It is silly. You know what? Listen, remember when you were a kid in the car and you're like, I spy a cow.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So here we go. We're going to play together, okay?
Okay.
My magical spiritual tool belt is crocheted, and it's rainbow color, so it's every color you can imagine. Now, in my little pocket, I have, it's all segmented, and I have my sage stick, I have my affirmation meditation, I have my playlist, I have my earth and grounding, I have my breath work, and I have my sing along in the shower as loud as you can and as out of tune as possible. Now, that's just, and there's sparklies all around it, and there's lots of pockets left for me to add whenever I want to. So, I know.
That sounds actually really beautiful.
I see a couple of little sparkly fairies that are just kind of like Tinkerbell. Like light bugs. We don't have lightning bugs here in Colorado. And every once in a while you see a little ping, ping, ping. Yeah, and then I got a couple of tuning forks and chimes. And then, of course, I have my Aqua Aura crystal because it's gorgeous and it makes me feel good. It's like candy. So, and
isn't that important? Yeah, I think that's so important that we're able to create it and then recognize what's in it. But not only recognize what's in it, but also, and it is a very playful way of doing it. So you see, it doesn't feel heavy, right? It feels very light.
It's not a task.
Yes. So when I was listening to you describing it, it sounded light and airy, and it felt like it was not weighted, which is important, right? Because if we have, so if that to me is important. So I'm hearing you describing it, and I'm going, okay, that sounds beautiful because it sounds airy, because it sounds like there is no weight to it. It feels like it's just flowing, and there is, so that's important, because a lot of times somebody would hear tool belt and they'll think, oh, it's really a heavy it's leather, or has heavy pockets to hold everything in, and it's not that. Yes, and it's and it's not that. What it is, it's light and airy, and it also helps you to remember. So if you can say to yourself, as a daily, and I say this because here I go again, right? Because I really believe that practice leads us to the automatic pilot that we kind of ride all the time. So what we're doing when we're practicing is we're recreating a new automatic place to go, right? So when I say that, so you are practicing, and as you practice, the description of your beautiful, sacred, tool belt, and recognizing if every day you did that, if every day you said, oops, as you're putting on all your clothing, right, you're going, oh, yes, let me readjust this beautiful tool belt of mine, right? So you readjust that beautiful tool belt, and there it is, because what you're doing is you're reminding yourself, you are keeping yourself mindful of the beautiful tools that you have before you that are available at any time that you need them, so that they're not out of your reach. They are always with you. How beautiful is that?
And look, and we craft a little feather, and there's a message, right? There's a little spirit message, but I know what it means. Nobody else needs to know what my feather means, and that can be added to my tool belt too.
Yes,
magic.
So you see how beautiful, and it is the magic. It's the magic of us going back to that time when we were so authentically ourselves.
And so full of dreams and hope. I mean, for me, when I was 16, I'd go lay on the back, on the grass, for me, it was New York, so it was the fire escape. But I would lay on my back on the fire escape, and I would look at all the stars. Wish on a star. I mean, that's the simplest thing you can do. How do you want to feel? What do you want to bring to you? Wish on a star. Why can't we wish on stars? Who decided that was a bunch of bunk and wouldn't happen? Yeah. Adults. People who were dated. People who got caught in the muck. We are so powerful. We have so much power to manifest and create and have fun doing it.
Yeah, and that's my biggest prayer is that we can all awaken in the understanding that we have more power than we've ever understood. And so once we're able to get to that place when we can say, "Oh my goodness, look at what lives within me. Look at what has been living within me," and be thankful and grateful.
Yes, Marilyn, we're going to have to say goodbye soon, and I just wanted to say it sure did come full circle because for the month of August, it's all about proactive power, being proactive in our personal power, and giving the planet a power boost through our personal power.
There you go.
I know.
I love that, right?
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. So tune in next week. Blessings, love, and
peace and blessings.
Yeah.